welcome back to the Rundown presents the greatest NFL team ever tournament. 64 teams selected by us, all Super Bowl winners in the history of the NFL, plus some at-large teams that were really, really good, but not good enough to win the whole thing in that particular season. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Rod Funderburk and Kevin Avery from the Four Man Rush podcast. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me for this second round selection show of the Steelers region. They're the last second round region left in this, and then we'll be down to the Sweet 16. The 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers, in fact, are the one seed still alive here in this tournament. We've had 2 1 seeds fall already in this tournament. Some shocking surprises here. The 89 49ers gone, defeated by the 2015 Carolina Panthers over in the 49ers region. And the biggest shock of the tournament to date, Aaron Gabriel and Brandon Blakeney putting the 85 Chicago Bears on the bench. They lost to the 1998 Minnesota Vikings in the Bears region last week. So that region's open wide up. The presumptive favorite, the Bears, are gone. The 89 49ers gone. I think the 92 Cowboys and the 78 Steelers in this region are the only 2 1 seeds left. A number of 2 seeds are gone too, including the undefeated 72 Miami Dolphins. So it's gotten crazy. I expect nothing less from you two gentlemen here. We're going to start off with these here in this region, just to run it down for everybody in terms of our simple rules for this contest. We started off with 64 teams, 4 regions, just like March Madness. We selected 1 seeds, and then we began this. I think we started this back in April. So this has been going on for a while now. Kev and Rod will debate the matchup in front of them. If the 2 of them select the same team, then my vote doesn't matter. That team moves on. If both guys split on their selection for who would win the contest, I become the tiebreaker vote, and the team with the most votes moves on to the Sweet 16. Keep in mind that the team with the highest seed in each matchup is the home team, meaning that we get to play that particular matchup underneath the rules of the higher seed. Gentlemen, if you are ready to proceed, we will start with the first matchup, and it is it's actually 2 teams that got into the second round and probably weren't supposed to be there. They both had upsets to get there. The 11 seed 1974 Pittsburgh Steelers, 10-3-1 on the season, taking on the 14 seed and one of the lowest seeds still left in the competition, the 2012 Baltimore Ravens. Ray Lewis's final season. I want to say that was the last season for Ed Reed also. Joe Flacco at quarterback. So, Rod, I'm going to start off with you on this one here. I'm picking this matchup between these 2 lower seeds, the 11 seed 74 Pittsburgh Steelers or the 14 seed 2012 Baltimore Ravens.
All right, heck of a matchup. Like you said, these are 2 teams that were able to get into the next round and weren't expected to get there. You got the Baltimore Ravens, like you said, Des, who were 10-6, led by Joe Flacco. Head coach was John Harbaugh. I think he met his brother in the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers this year. But the Baltimore Ravens were 10 in offense, and they were 12 in defense that year. And they were a wild card matchup against the Colts. They won that wild card game to send them on their quick escapade journey all the way to the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco had 22 touchdowns that year. Ray Rice had over 1,100 yards. And then, of course, Anquan Boldwin and Timmy Smith were the wideouts. And, of course, Michael Orr was anchoring that offensive line to help protect Joe Flacco. But then if you look at the 74 Steelers, they were 6 in offense and 2nd in defense that year. They still had Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris leading the offense. And they also on defense, they had L.C. Greenwood. And that was a running team. They had Joe Green. They had Jack Ham. They had Jack Lambert. They had Andy Russell in the backfield as well. I think that was a heck of a defensive squad, in my opinion, being the 2nd defense overall during that year back in 74. And, I would think this game would be a low-scoring game. I would think the winner of this game, the score is going to be like 13-10. And I think it would come down to where the 74 Pittsburgh Steelers would stop Joe Flacco on the goal line and cause Joe Flacco to throw an interception, allowing the 74 Steelers to be the winners in this game by a score of 13-10. I think this would have been a heck of a defensive battle.
Yeah. I easily agree that this would be a defensive battle between those Steelers from the 70s and these Ravens on their Ray Lewis victory tour. Kev, so Rod picked the 74 Steelers to advance. Kev, what say you between the 74 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 2012 Baltimore Ravens? And Ray Lewis, excuse me.
Well, for me, I mean, you're talking about you could literally make a defensive Hall of Fame just off of these two teams' defenses alone. You know, when you come down to it, I mean, my God, if you're a person that loves defense, I mean, the defenders that's in this game is just purely mouthwatering. Like you could just. I don't know, man. It's like it's almost a disrespect to have to choose, man, because it's just like damn, like these are like the goats of the goats. When you look at these defenders, you could literally take the defenders on these two teams and match up with anybody any decade. If you want me to be honest with you, but since we got a pick, so here's what I'm gonna do. When I look back and forth when I was studying this matchup. It was like I say, it's definitely going to be a low scoring game. I think the first team to 17 would win. Here's my reason. I think that the 2012 Baltimore Ravens would advance on, and here's the logic that I had behind it. This 1974 Steelers team had a 2-quarterback system. It wasn't all Terry Bradshaw. It was Joe Gilliam and Terry Bradshaw splitting the games. Basically, Joe Gilliam played 9 games. Terry Bradshaw played 8 games. Between the two of them, they only could come up with 12 touchdowns and 21 interceptions. Now, look. So it would go back to, again, hey, that's Dez, you know me, I'm a stats geek, man. I was looking at this and I was like,
I know.
Like, okay, let me take a look at who's the higher seed because I need to see whose rules we will be playing under. And who's I think what this is what
this is the Steelers.
Because Steelers. Now I do know that Lynn Swann is on the other side and I get all of that, but I just think that the Ravens secondary is more suited to handle the wide receivers of the Steelers with Lynn Swann and company, and I just really see it as it being a score where Baltimore will win 17-14. I just see Ray Lewis and his defense coming up with a game-changing turnover late, and I see Flacco airing it out to a streaking Torrey Smith, and I think that would win the game. That's just my assessment because you can't tell me a 2-quarterback team is going to beat this Ravens defense. I just refuse to believe that.
Kevin, I got one question for you, Kevin. Do you think that 74 Steelers team would allow Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith to even get off the line of scrimmage since we're playing by the 74 rules?
Well, here's my thing. I think Anquan Bolden's physicality would have matched up perfectly that because that wasn't no small kid, and they didn't have wide receivers that big during that time. Anquan Bolden was going by 6'5", 235. Like they weren't used to wide receivers that size during that decade. So I'm just thinking that even under those rules, I'm just looking at physics and genetics allowing the matchup. And then, like I said before, you can't mug what you can't catch. And, a prime Torrey Smith, I just see it as, just being an advantage, slight advantage, but still an advantage towards the Ravens. Again, I see it as a slugfest. You can leave, go fix you something to eat, and come back, and the score would be the same. I don't think you would. I don't think you would really miss that much. But But yeah, I just see it as a 17-13 game with the Ravens, because I just can't see a team with two quarterbacks with 21 interceptions going up against Ray Rice and Ed Reed and them boys. I just can't see them allowing that to even happen.
So here's my thing, because this was the first Super Bowl for the Steelers in the 70s. I said it was the second, but it was their first one. They won in 74, 75. Then they missed the Super Bowl 76, 77, and then they won 78, 79. Kev hit it on the head with Terry Bradshaw. He started 7 games. This is his 4th year in the league. He started 7 games. He threw for 785 yards for the season, 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I just, and 34 rushes for 224 yards and 2 TDs. So somehow they're using Terry Bradshaw on some sort of rushing option here. There was no Lynn Swann. They hadn't been drafted yet. The starting wide receivers for that Steelers team was Frank Lewis and Ron Shanklin. That ain't gonna cut it against the Ravens defense in 2012. Like, I don't even know who those dudes are. The tight end was Larry Brown. Frank Lewis was the leading receiver. He had 30 catches on the season for 365 yards. The other dude had 19 catches. So I'm like, what were they doing to score? Because Franco Harris had barely 1,000 yards for the season. He had 1,006 yards on 208 rushes and only 5 touchdowns. And Rocky Blair was the running back. He had 373 yards for the season, 2 touchdowns. And I'm just sitting there looking like, what were they doing to score? Because they were points for, they were scoring 21.8 points per game. That was 6th in the league. But as I look through their starters, I'm like, well, who am I fearing here? Like, who's the guy that we need to key in on? The defense, though,
yeah, it was the
legit.
defense.
I
mean,
pretty much
everybody had interceptions.
Yeah, the defense had 22 interceptions.
Yeah, they actually had Swann and Stallworth on the bench during this time. Believe it or not, fellas.
So they weren't even starting. Yeah.
Stallworth only started 3 games that whole season. Lynn Swann only had 2. But look at these yards per catch averages they had. This is letting me know that coaching just missed it. Stallworth was averaging 16.8 yards per catch. Lynn Swann 18.9. But Stallworth only had 16 receptions all year. Lynn Swann only had 11. So your best players are actually coming off the bench. Yeah. These other guys, the Frank Lewis and the Ron Shanklin, they were starting over Stallworth.
Yeah, that was during the time when seniority made a difference. They played based on seniority back then.
Ron Shanklin. Wow. Now the defense,
this would be like
was legit. L.C. Greenwood, Mean Joe Green.
Yeah, this would have been like Steve Smith and Musin Muhammad sitting on the bench while we started Patrick Jeffries and Kerry Colbert. Like, seriously.
Now the Steelers defense is legit. I'm counting. I mean, L.C. Greenwood, Joe Green, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Andy Russell, Mel Blount, Mike Wagner. I mean, that's like 7 dudes that are in the Hall of Fame. So I mean, I get it, and they had like at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes with at least 2 interceptions on the defense. So I mean, I get it. So I guess it really comes down to, I agree with you, a low scoring game. It comes down to could the Ravens get, I think the Ravens would have to get ahead on Pittsburgh and stay ahead, because the Ravens weren't built to be really a come from far behind type team. On the other hand, the Steelers can't really score more than 3 touchdowns. So it would be kind of a knockdown drag. I'm leaning towards the Steelers because of the defense. If I had to choose between picking the 74 Steelers defense or the 2012 Ravens defense in a one-on-one, like who's going to perform better, I'm probably going to pick the 74 Steelers, because keep in mind those 2012 Ravens, Ray Lewis was banged up. He had an injured arm throughout that whole playoff run. I think Ed Reed was banged up. They had some injuries on the defense. They just they made their way through. And I want to say, wasn't that the year that Flacco connected with I think they were playing Denver or somebody in the playoffs, or the Patriots, and connected down the field on like a last second type Hail Mary type pass that kept their hopes alive. Otherwise, they wouldn't even made it that far. I want to say it was the Patriots or somebody that they were playing in a wild card.
Hey, Des. Hey, Des.
Like bomb or whatever. Yeah.
Hey,
It may have been the Colts.
Hey, Des, real quick. This the wild card of that offense. Back then, who would have? This was when Ray Rice, before he had the Ike Turner syndrome. But
Yeah.
which one of these great Steeler linebackers was going to check him coming out the backfield? Because this was the year that Ray Rice was a dual threat, both running and passing. Like who's going to catch this?
I guess they'd have to put. They'd have to put Jack Ham on him. I guess either Ham or Lambert. Well, Lambert will follow him around the passing game. Maybe Ham. I don't know. That's a good question. Or they would have to drop a safety down or somebody to cover, like Mel Blount or somebody, right? Like that's the question, because then you could have Mel Blount or somebody literally run up and punch him in the face, and it would be legal because they were playing in 1974. So that too lends to it a little bit. Although the Raven defense would probably be right at home in 1974. They're older, whereas the Steeler team is the first Super Bowl team for the Steelers, where, like you said, Lynn Swann, John Stover, they're not even starting yet. So I mean, I'm gonna pick the Steelers because they were still young, and this Ravens team was at the end of their run. Like Ed Reed was older, Lewis was about to retire. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go with the Steelers. So before I change my mind, I'm gonna go ahead and write that down. So I'm putting the Steelers moving on to the second round here. This is a matchup I saw when I wrote these out, and I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go here. This is the 4 versus 5 matchup. It is the 2013 Seattle Seahawks with the Legion of Boom taking on the scariest offense maybe of all time, the 2007 New England Patriots that went 16-0 and lost their last game of the season to the New York Football Giants in the Super Bowl on a crazy helmet catch. And even in that Super Bowl, the Patriots came back to take the lead late. Randy Moss catching a touchdown from Tom Brady, left like 2 minutes on the clock. Eli escapes a sack. They probably should have whistled dead, throws it downfield. David Tyree catches it. The rest is history from there. Otherwise, these 2007 New England Patriots, we probably wouldn't even be doing this tournament because they would be considered the greatest team of all time. There wouldn't be much debate about it at 19-0, but they didn't win it. So they came. That's why they're ranked 5th as a 5th seed, because they didn't win the Super Bowl their season actually was in. But they are probably the highest at-large seed in the entire tournament. Kev, I'm going to start off with you here. Who would you pick between the Legion of Boom and the 2013 Seattle Seahawks, who decimated the Denver Broncos in their Super Bowl, taking on the 2007 New England Patriots, who many consider to be the greatest team of all time?
Oh, boy.
It's like what the Rock or the immovable object? Like, who you gonna pick, the Legion of Boom, or are you taking Tom Brady at the peak of his passing powers with Randy Moss and Wes Welker and oh my gosh,
man! Oh boy, this is definitely a fun one. It's not even fair to just look at these offensive stats for the Patriots that year, like, because it make it seems like it should be way too obvious. And with the time frame 2007 to 2013s, I don't really think the rule changes would really be a big factor here, like it would be, say, if it was 2 or 3 decades in between.
Right.
Boy, cause that Legion of Boom was just nasty. Like it just. I mean, you know, the 2013 Broncos, who they beat, damn sure wasn't no slouch as well. I think that version of team
they scored 500 points. Yeah, I think they're the highest scoring team of all time, or something, aren't they? Or they're up there.
Right. And I just don't know what went wrong that day. I don't know, because they played the Super Bowl in the Meadowlands. You know, I think teams are used to playing in warmer weather for the Super Bowl. I don't know what happened that day. That Broncos team was just as effective as this 07, Patriots team, if you ask me, as far as from offensive points point of view, because this 07 squad, they averaged 37 points a game for New England, 589 points.
I just saw that. Just saw how much they were averaging the game.
I mean, and do you know what type of mental fortitude it takes to run the table? Like, 16-0. Like that is, yeah, man.
How do you wait? How do you average almost 37 points a game over 16 regular season games? Like, how do you?
That's
what?
Yeah, I mean, you do that with Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Ben Watson, and Kevin Falk. That's how you do that.
and look, and that year the Patriots had the toughest strength of schedule. I'm looking at too, so it wasn't like they just ran through jumps. You know what I'm saying, to get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the Pro Football Reference, and it says they were first out of 32 teams strength of schedule. So, like, okay, they took everybody's best shot and just ran through them. Like Cube say, no Vaseline.
I'm just like, I'm amazed. Like, I didn't really look at what they did. Tom Brady had 50 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Yep.
4,800 yards passing. Like, Randy Moss had 23 touchdowns, 98 catches, almost 1,500.
He had right at
Wes Welker caught 112. Wes Welker caught 112 passes this season. Like, did you pick? Who did you pick?
Man.
Who did you pick, Kev?
But I'm just going to say it, man. Just give me these. I'm going with the 07 Patriots, man. Because here's my defense. As great as the Legion of Boom is, realistically, who gonna check Randy Moss?
That's what I'm like. Like, if they put Richard Sherman on him, is that what's going to happen? Because Richard Sherman's not a man-to-man defender.
A zone 3 corner. You put a zone 3 cornerback on Randy Moss. Good luck with that one. I'm just saying. This is the type of offense. This type of offense that I think would have just toe up that cover 3 press that they like to run in Seattle. And New England had a solid enough offensive line in 2007 to where they would win their fair share of battles to give Moss and Welker them boys time to get downfield. So for me, give me the 07 Patriots on this one.
Rod, what you got? 2013 Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom, or the 2007 New England Patriots?
Yeah, I mean, this is a difficult matchup. Like you guys said, New England was first in offense. But of course, Seattle was also first in defense. So a heck of a matchup. And you guys asked the question. It was concerning the 2013 Denver Broncos when they lost to the Super Bowl to Seattle. Now, the Denver Broncos didn't have a slouch team. They had Eric Decker. They had Demaryius Thomas. They had Wes Welker. They had Julius Thomas. And you guys asked what happened in that Super Bowl. What did the Legion of Boom do? You know what the Legion of Boom did? They officially took their names serious, and they put the boom down on them wide receivers. If you guys don't remember the beginning of that game and that Super Bowl, they hit those wide receivers. And from then on, y'all saw passes get dropped. Y'all saw guys looking down the field when the ball was coming before they could catch it, and they dropped the ball. That's what happened. That's what y'all saw. The Legion of Boom did just that. They put the boom down. So the question comes out to be, if the Legion of Boom is able to do this to the 2007 Patriots, who have Randy Moss, who have Wes Welker, which this was done to Wes Welker by the Legion of Boom when he was playing for the 2013 Denver Broncos. Does that happen again in this matchup? That is the question. And we really don't know. I mean, we really don't know. You know, when Randy Moss gets hit coming across that middle by the Legion of Boom, is he going to think about it? You know, is Randy Moss the biggest, thickest wide receiver there is? Is his ribs going to be able to take the Legion of Boom's hitting? I mean, because the Legion of Boom wasn't no joke, bro. You talking about Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, and then Richard Sherman covering. I mean, Richard Sherman could cover now. You know what I'm saying? So from a defensive standpoint of view, them being number one, I mean, I'm a defensive guy. Y'all know I love defense. Y'all heard me say all the time, if the defense doesn't play, when it comes to a championship or a game, you can forget about it. They're going to lose. On the other side, Tom Brady threw, 55 touchdowns? You know, Randy Moss. He threw
50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, yeah.
Randy Moss had 1,500 yards. I mean, he could go up and get the ball. The question is, can your ribs last? That's the question. So, Des, I'm gonna put all the onus on you. You gonna have to answer the final question because I'm going with the Legion of Boom to come down with the boom like they did the 2013 Denver Broncos, who had Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, all them boys. The boom put it on them, and they made them think about it, and that's how they won that Super Bowl. So, Des, it's up to you to decide who moves on.
I will say that I'm a huge fan of offenses that can score. That's why I've come around on the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs. I love teams that can almost play basketball with their football in terms of fast break, can get it out quick, can score on you real fast. And even though I'm on record saying the 99 Rams are one of my favorite teams of all time, the 2007 Patriots are probably the only team I can think of that could score whenever they wanted to. Like literally, like they were averaging almost 40 points a game. That means that they had a couple of games in there where they hit a 50 burger, or you know what I mean? Like they had a couple that were super high scoring type games that brought that average up. They had to. The only team I remember giving them trouble that year was the Ravens towards the season. I want to say in that game, the Patriots like gambled on like a 4th down or something and got it, or something late, or something happened. It was a call. Something weird happened at the end of the game. The Ravens were upset about it because the Patriots got the call. And basically the Patriots escaped that. The Giants basically just did what you had to do pretty much with any of these Patriots teams. And that was disrupt the timing with Tom Brady and his receivers, because Brady and Manning are basically the same in terms of footwork. Like they stay in a box. Drew Brees is kind of the same way. They stay in a box and they'll take a step up or step back, or they'll go side to side, but they pretty much stay in the same spot. And if you can get them out of that spot, it disrupts the rhythm. I could see the 07 Patriots defense containing Russell Wilson better than I could see the Seahawks containing Tom Brady and this unit, because it wouldn't have to be just all deep. They wouldn't have to just challenge Legion of Boom going down the field. Tom Brady's the master at death by 1,000 cuts. And like this team with Wes Welker running the slants up the middle, Kyle Brady was the tight end, but he only caught 9 catches. Ben Watson was the other tight end. So they were running like a 2 tight end set with Kevin Falk in the backfield. Kevin Falk caught 62. He had 62 rushes, but he mainly was used as a pass receiver, 47 catches coming out, basically a chain mover.
Let me give you this stat too, if you don't mind. In 2013, the Denver Broncos, when they lost to the Legion of Boom, the Denver Broncos averaged 37.9 points per game that year as well. And the Legion of Boom defense beat them 43-8.
But here's the thing about that. I would counter that.
But here's my thing, though. It's like.
But here's what I would counter that point with, Rod. You got to look at the styles of offense. You know, that was the Denver Broncos was, you know, a little bit dink and dunk, you know, everything that favors what goes to the strength of a cover 3. This Patriots team, they, you know, what beats a cover 3 is people that attach the seams and who can attack it deep. And this was one of the years that Brady had one of the better deep balls, not just with Randy Moss, but with other guys as well. So, they average the same points, but it's
doing deep balls.
It's strategy, you know, because the weakness in a cover 3 is what actually was the way that the New England Patriots in 07 were attacking and beating teams. So you have to factor that, not just how many points, but how they was getting those points.
Plus, another thing to consider, those Broncos were coached by John Fox. These Patriots are coached by Bill Belichick. So to me, that's a huge difference in terms of like being able to adapt game plan, being able to adapt on the fly.
So you guys don't
John
think
Fox
the
isn't really known to adapt on the fly.
So
I don't know if it's so much adapting. I think. Well, the thing is that Denver team didn't have anybody on the level of Randy Moss at wide receiver. Like, I mean, you literally would have had to put somebody on Randy Moss one-on-one. And it really comes down to, could Richard Sherman cover Randy Moss one-on-one that year? I don't think anybody could cover Randy Moss.
That's a good question.
Like in the league.
Richard Sherman would have definitely welcomed the challenge, because that's just the type of athlete.
Oh, he would have tried.
It would have been something sweet.
Yeah, he would have tried.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see.
But we might have held Randy to 3 side of the field.
But
you know, because Richard Sherman just plays on that one side. You know, is he gonna follow Randy Moss?
That's a good question.
See, that's what I'm saying. You have to have somebody follow Randy Moss. Like, you got to treat him like Jerry Rice. You can't let Randy Moss run through his own defense. He's going to destroy it. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just let the dude run around, get passed off to defender to defender. Like, that's how you get those passes where, like, you know, like you see the clips of like Randy running like unabated down the field, and there's like 3 Raiders like off to the side, and like, well, I thought you had him. They're playing zone defense, and all of a sudden, Randy Moss is like 10 yards up the field, and they're all like, "What are you doing? What are you?" Yeah, Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman like arguing with each other like all game. Like, that was supposed to be you. No, that was supposed to be you.
Well,
no,
the Legion. I'll be honest with you. The Legion of Boom, man. When it comes to the Legion of Boom, I see those guys like the Detroit Pistons when they were playing Michael Jordan. They're gonna let Randy Moss maybe catch it, but they're gonna hit Randy Moss like the Detroit Pistons were hitting Jordan and wouldn't let Jordan get started. I see the Legion of Boom saying, forget that. Randy Moss, he might get this way or run that way, but we ain't even going to concentrate on the ball coming. We're going to concentrate on laying the boom on him. And I feel like that's the strategy that they would take. That's all. Not trying to sway you either way. I just feel like that's how they would do it.
No. That's a good point. I mean, and the Giants tried to do that. The Giants pretty much tried to do that in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and it worked for 3 quarters.
Yeah,
and
that was the lowest scoring game the Patriots had.
Yeah, I'm sitting there looking at the Patriots, their scores from that season. So from like they started off scoring 38 points week 1, but really right around week 6 against Dallas, they dropped 48 points on Dallas. Then the next week, 49 on Miami. The next week, 52 on the Redskins. Had a slow week the following week against the Colts, only scored 24 points. But then they followed that up after a bye by beating the Bills 56-10. I mean, like, they got to the middle of the season, they were like, screw it. Like, we forget this whole we're gonna be nice, the game's out of hand. Like, they just kept pedaled to the metal like the whole season through. I'm gonna go Patriots because dang, this is the second time now where I've had to pick the Patriots in something, and it's killing me.
Right.
Looking at the Patriots defense, I think the Patriots defense could have held Peyton Manning and that Denver offense more than the Seattle defense would have been able to hold this particular New England defense. And just looking down the defensive starters, Vince Wilfork, Mike Vrabel, Adalius Thomas was on this team. Teddy Bruschi was still on there. Roosevelt Colvin, Asante Samuel at cornerback, Rodney Harrison and James Sanders at safety. This was a hard, tough-nosed defense as well. I want to say Junior Seau was on this team, if I'm not mistaken. They don't show him in the starters, but he was Junior Seau was on this team. So yeah, they had some dudes. They had some names over there, some guys that could knock the snot out of you. And again, if they hadn't lost that Super Bowl, we're talking about we wouldn't even be doing this tournament. We would just be like, yeah, the 07 Patriots are the greatest team of all time. So I'm gonna move them on because I feel like they deserve it. Now, speaking of that 2013 Super Bowl, the other team that's in it is actually still in this bracket as well, and that is the 2013 Denver Broncos, and they are taking on the 2 seed in this region, the 1984 San Francisco 49ers, one of only 2 teams to win the Super Bowl with just 1 loss on the season. The 85 Bears were the other. The 85 Bears are no longer with us. The Seahawks, excuse me, no, I got the wrong one up here. It's supposed to be 89 49ers versus, or 84 49ers versus the Denver Broncos. That Denver Bronco team, 13-3 on the season. Peyton Manning breaks the record that Tom Brady had just set a couple years prior in terms of touchdowns in a season. I want to say Peyton threw for over 5,000 yards that year. I want to say this is the first full healthy season of Peyton being back after missing a year, neck surgery and everything, and the Colts cutting him. This is a good Broncos team, but they did not win their Super Bowl. They lost to the Legion of Boom and the Seattle Seahawks in that particular Super Bowl, which is why they're only a 7 seed. Rod, I'm going to let you go first on this one here. The 49ers in 84, was Jerry Rice on that team yet? Was he a rookie on that team in 84, or had he not still arrived yet in 84?
I don't think Jerry Rice
85.
Did he arrive there in 84? I don't think he was there just yet in 84, if I'm not
I don't. It
mistaken.
was somewhere mid '80s when he got drafted. Yeah, I want to say the next year is when he showed up in '85. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you go first here. '84 49ers or the Broncos.
Okay, yeah. Well, my pick in this one is going to be the San Francisco 49ers over the Denver Broncos. Number one, just because the 2013 Denver Broncos, they were a good team. Peyton Manning broke all kinds of regular season records. But for some reason during this time, Peyton Manning used to always struggle during the playoffs. And in this particular year, he got to the Super Bowl and he lost it to the Legion of Boom after scoring 37.9 points per game. So he's taking on the 15-1 San Francisco 49ers, who's being coached by the legend Bill Walsh. And the 49ers were second in offense that year and first in defense. And they wound up beating the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, who was led by Dan Marino. But Joe Montana had 28 touchdowns this year. Roger Craig had a combined of rushing and receiving yards, just over 1,300 yards. Freddie Solomon was at the wide out. Dwight Clark was at the wide out. They had Earl Cooper at tight end. And then they had some guys on defense, from Jim Stuckey to Keena Turner, who anchored those middle linebacker spots. And then you go back in the secondary to Ronnie Lott, the legend, and Dwight Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
And this team had a total of 16 interceptions for the year, which is, awesome, during that mid-'80s run. And, of course, George Seifert was the defensive coordinator. And, when he took over, he also was able to continue to take the San Francisco 49ers on and lead them to another Super Bowl. So just being 15-1, second in offense, first in defense, this was a showtime team, in my opinion. Joe Montana was young. He was upcoming. They still had Roger Craig doing his thing, and he was only going to get better. And, playing with the rules in '84 compared to 2013, Ronnie Lott could have a field day on the wide receivers. Ronnie Lott could hit you with the helmet-to-helmet blows, and you can yell helmet-to-helmet all you want. You either stay in the game or either you go out and sit on the sideline, whatever you want to do. So Ronnie Lott was going to have a ball. And so that's why I'm giving it to the San Francisco 49ers there. One in defense,
can't be mad at that.
Second in offense.
They barely missed being a 1 seed themselves. Many people consider them the greatest 49ers team of all time, and they're sitting here as a 2 seed in this region. Kev, what you got between the 15-1 San Francisco 49ers from 1984 taking on the 2013 Denver Broncos with Peyton Manning and all those boys?
For me, this was also a no-brainer. This is easily, for me, the 1984 San Francisco 49ers. Just for the fact that, they're just balanced on offense and defense with just playmaking ability and consistency here. You got, Joe Montana, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's almost a 3-to-1 ratio, completing 65%. He got good protection. He was only sacked 22 times. My God, he's throwing to Dwight Clark. He's throwing to Freddie Solomon. He's just got weapons, to throw with. And of course, the infamous Roger Craig that's already been discussed. So I just see this as just a team that's just too well balanced all around for the Broncos to win. I think this would be one of them games that would be somewhat close in the first half, but I just see the 49ers beating them, by 17 points in the final. Like, I just see it as a first half kind of like 17-10, and then I just see the 49ers just pulling away like 34-17, the final score. Like, I just really and it's I really ain't got that much to say about it. It's just that open and shut for me. The defense was just, insulting. This was the type of defense that would talk about your mama after she done came out of church praying for you. Like, this defense was just rude, zero foxtrots about you. They just pretty much didn't care anything for you, your way of living, your life. So, yeah, I just don't see the Broncos, in spite of all the offensive statistics that the offense could put up, and they didn't have no slouch on defense either now. But they not even in the league with this 84 team. So 49ers easily for me.
Yeah, so the 49ers are going to move on. Both of you guys picked the 49ers. I just want to say the offense was ranked second in the league in terms of yards that they put up, and the defense was ranked number 1 in the league in terms of points allowed. So that's a dangerous combination there. This is 1984. This 49ers offense was averaging almost 30 points a game. That was only second in the NFL that year, but 15-1-0 regular season, greatest 49er record of all time. Bill Walsh at head coach. And like you guys said, this is before they actually added on stuff to the offense. Jerry Rice isn't on this team.
John Taylor.
John Taylor isn't on this team. Yeah, I mean, like, these guys came out. These guys were on the 88, 89 49ers, like, a couple years later.
On that team, Big Tom Rathman.
Tom Rathman.
Remember him?
I mean, I was trying to pull up their
Brent Jones not on
roster. Yeah, Brent Jones ain't on there. Steve Young hasn't been traded over here yet. I mean, they did this basically off of, to me, they did it off of scheme. Like, they were this good because of the West Coast offense being as good as it was and being kind of revolutionary to offenses in the NFL. No one had really seen something like this at that time, where it's just all timing routes, short precision, almost using the pass to set up your run game. And Roger Craig excelled in it. The first guy to, do 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving in a season. At running back, he was perfect for the West Coast offense. I'm with you guys. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Sorry, Broncos, you didn't even win your own Super Bowl. So the 49ers from 1984 are going to move on. That brings us to our marquee matchup of the evening, and that is the 1 seed of this region. They are the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers, and they are taking on the 2001 St. Louis Rams. 14th season, lost last second fashion to Adam Vinatieri and the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. Otherwise, these Rams would be consideration for a 1 seed. The Pittsburgh Steelers, this was the 3rd Super Bowl of their in the 70s. At this point, like we said, Don Stallworth, Lynn Swann, they're on this team. Keep in mind, they're the 1 seed, so the seedings dictate the rules. So we are playing this under 1978 rules. But also keep in mind, because of this very Steelers team, in the mid-'70s, the NFL changed the rules, basically called the Mel Blount rule, where it allowed wide receivers to not be touched after you jam them. I think you get like a 5-yard space from the line of scrimmage out. And after that, they can run kind of unabated. So that would help the St. Louis Rams and their offense definitely in this matchup. If this had been an earlier Steelers iteration, then they basically could be molested all the way up the field and not be called for a penalty pretty much. So that would have definitely disrupted things. Kev, I'm going to start off with you. The 1 seed Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the 2001 St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. I have no idea how this is going to go. So I'm going to kick it off with you, Kev. What you got?
All right, yeah, this was the one I was definitely waiting on to discuss. You're talking about really 2 contrasting styles in their prime. And it's by this team, this 78 Steelers team, they done found their groove, their stroke. They are just absolutely a juggernaut, really. Earlier I was discussing how Terry Bradshaw in the quarterback situation was. Well, by this time, Terry Bradshaw is fully entrenched. Now, I got to be honest, he did throw 28 touchdowns, but he also had 20 interceptions. So, he's still a little loose with that. Some of these passes here, a little too much for my liking. I know people like to give him a lot of credit for 4 Super Bowls, but I think more of that credit should go towards the defense than anything. That's just my personal opinion. But when you got Franco Harris and Rocky in the backfield, I mean, talk about a quarterback's best friend.
Yeah. 1,700 yards combined between the 2 of them that season. Yeah, for sure.
Right, definitely. And when you jump over here to these Saints, not the Saints, got St. Louis, or the 2001 team. Boy, I'm thinking about a prime Marshall Faulk and all that he can do. We was just talking about Roger K had been the first to get the 1,000, where Marshall Faulk was the second. And if I'm not mistaken,
right.
if I'm not mistaken, this was right before he pulled that off. So I mean, we're talking about someone that was averaging 9 yards a catch coming out the backfield. First team All Pro, 1,400 yards.
It was his MVP year. When 2001, he won MVP of the league, didn't he?
Yeah. He definitely did. So for me, if I had to pick it though, I'm going with the 78 Steelers. Again, they're in their prime. They're just they're on the way to their third Super Bowl. In spite of the lack of star-studded quarterback play, even though I gotta realize that passing still wasn't put as much emphasis back during the 70s as it is now. So I kind of gotta, I guess, let up on Bradshaw a little bit here for him being such a pick machine. But again, this defense is still nasty. They still ain't been to church yet, so I got to go with the 78 Steelers beating the 0-1 Rams in this one.
Yeah, you make some pretty good points there in terms of what could happen in a matchup like this with the Steelers being the higher seed. I think that actually really helps them out in this situation in terms of how this would work out. Luckily, I don't have to pick yet. So, Rod, Kev went with the. Who did you pick? You picked the 78 Steelers. So Kev picked the 78 Steelers over the Rams. So Rod, who you got between the 0-1 Rams and the 78 Steelers? The 78 Steelers are the 1 seed.
Now the 0-1 Rams was still considered the greatest show on turf, correct? Was that the year Kurt Warner had like 36 TDs? Marshall Faulk had right at 1,400 yards rushing and over 750 yards passing, and they had a guy named Torrey Holt on the edge and Isaac Bruce on the other edge. I think there was a
This team is probably better than the 99 Rams, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're probably a better team. They just didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think this Orlando Pace guy was also helping protect Kurt Warner. And the defense wasn't bad. There was what they have: London Fletcher, Dexter McClellan. The issue was when it was time to go to the Super Bowl and beat the 0-1 Patriots. I don't think they were able to do it. That was just the only issue. And when you go to the 78 Steelers, again, I'm a defensive guy. They had a heck of a defense. Mean Joe Green, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Mel Blount. They had 10 Pro Bowlers off of this team. And these guys only allowed 195 points for the year, which led them to be ranked number 1 in defense, and they were ranked number 5 in offense. So you talk about the number 1 defense going against the number 1 offense, and I'm just still a believer that when you come down to it, when it comes to championship, the defense is the one that has to step up, because if your defense doesn't allow you to score points, then you can win the game and the other team cannot. So I'm following with Kevin. I'm going with the 78 Steelers under head coach Chuck Noll, that he was able to pull it out against the greatest show on turf, because they did not win the Super Bowl. And I could see the greatest show on turf losing the Super Bowl the exact same way they won the Super Bowl against the Tennessee Titans. A tackle right there at the 1 yard line. Defense prevails again.
Now,
my vote doesn't matter.
So, real quick, what if they was the 1 seed and this was played on turf? Would that have made a difference? Because then I would probably switch my pick.
Yeah, definitely. And Kevin, that's the whole reason, Kevin, that I don't understand teams like the 85 Bears getting knocked out when you're playing by their rules. Because I'm a Cowboys fan. There's no way.
Take it up with Aaron Gabriel.
Yeah, there's no way in Hades being a Cowboys fan that I'm going to pick
Aaron Gabriel and Brandon Blakey, man.
Pick a Pittsburgh Steelers team. I can't do it. I'm a Cowboys fan, but the rules say it's under their rules. It's 78 all the way to 2001. I don't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Especially if I'm true to myself when it comes to defense.
If you want to watch that Bears region where that controversial call where the 98 Vikings were advanced over the 85 Bears, knocking them out, at the end of this episode, there should be a link that pops up on the end card that you can click that and go watch the insanity that Brandon Blakeney and Aaron Gabriel.
I don't quite understand that one.
There.
Yeah, but you got to understand, Brandon Blakeney wasn't even alive when the Chicago Bears had won the Super Bowl. He didn't even know what the Super Bowl shuffle was.
Oh man, yeah, I was explaining to him. I was like, "Yo, you don't understand. They put the Super Bowl shuffle out before the Super Bowl. Like it was out before they played the game, and then they go out and smack the Patriots. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, yeah, we know you've seen this all week, like on your TV. What are you gonna do about it? And Bears are gone, but the 49ers remain. So now we are down to our Sweet 16. We have a Sweet 16 finally here, fellas. It took us about 2 months to get here, but we are here. And out of this region, I'm trying to pull back up my thing here. So in the Steelers region, the teams that advanced, the 1 seed, the 78 Steelers survived, defeating the 0-1 Rams. They move on. They will be taking on. They'll be taking on the 2007 New England Patriots. So that'll be interesting there. And then in the bottom of that region, the 1974 Pittsburgh Steelers advance, defeating the Baltimore Ravens in 2012. They will be taking on the 2 seed, the 1984 15-1 San Francisco 49ers. So this is a loaded bracket. The 74 Steelers are the only ones that are kind of sitting there like, how did they get there? But just based off of their seed. But I mean, they weren't slouches themselves. So we'll see how that goes. The other teams in the Cowboys region, the Cowboys advanced over the 09 Saints. They were the 1 seed. They move on. The 77 Cowboys defeated the 73 Dolphins. They moved on. The 75 Steelers defeated the 1990 Buffalo Bills. So they move on to the Sweet 16. And the 99 Rams, the 2 seed over there, defeated the 1968 Baltimore Colts. I was trying to see if I had any more of them left here. In the 49ers region, the 2015 Panthers upset the 1 seed 89 49ers. The 94 49ers advanced past the Ravens of 2000. And the 96 Green Bay Packers advanced over the 03 Patriots. The 2019 Kansas City Chiefs advanced over the 72 Dolphins. So that was the big upset over there. Pat Mahomes taking out the undefeated Dolphins squad. I don't think I have the last region in front of me. So you can go to sportscarolinamonthly.com to get that there. But we are down to 16 guys. I did not expect some of these to be there. I expected some others to pop up that did not make it. 85 Bears. I expected 89 49ers to be there. But and we've had some I did not expect the 2015 Carolina Panthers to make it to the Sweet 16. I didn't expect the 89 Vikings to make it there, but I can see the arguments for both. This is crazy. Like I'm starting to get worried that we're going to get to the end and the team that wins is going to be a team that didn't even win their Super Bowl. Like we've got right now, like it could easily happen. We've got 2 teams that went 15-1 in the regular season and lost in the Vikings and the Panthers. Then you got this undefeated Patriots team floating around out there that only lost 1 game all year. They're still alive. I don't know where this is going to go. In my head, I was like, the 85 Bears are going to win this whole thing. And now that's gone. So I have no idea where this is going over the next couple of weeks as we finish this out. I'm going to let you guys get a chance to throw some shout outs out there before I end us out here. So Kev, you want to throw out where everybody can get to 4-Man Rush?
Yeah, definitely for all of you that are not only just Carolina Panther fans, but if you're just a fan of good detailed football conversation that has facts backed up by logic and analytics that's broken down for you, definitely check out the 4-Man Rush. You can go to the website, the number 4manrush.com. From there, you can check us all on our social media sites. You can also check out our podcast as well on iTunes, Spotify, TikTok as well. You can check us out. We're getting ready to step up to a new level. We just got our trademark and our patent, so we're getting ready to open up some things that we've been doing behind the scenes for months. We just had to get legal, had to get protected. So now that now that we're getting ready to move to the next phase with our business ventures. So, come check us out.
Yeah, man. I'm really hoping that they allow fans and media to training camp for the Panthers this year. With me starting the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast, I'm hoping I get a chance to meet you and see you down in Charlotte. Since they're not going to Wofford this year, they'll be at the Bubble. But I don't think they're going to let media in there like that, since they're still doing Zoom interviews and stuff with coaching staff. But we'll see. The NFL's trucking along like even coronavirus ain't stopping this train, baby. Like we're all reporting July 29th, hell or high water. So we'll find out what they're going to do. But I mean, Florida just had like 3 days in a row where they were hitting like 10K in cases daily. So we'll see what happens with that. Rob, anybody want to give a shout out to anything?
Did you see, Des, where rookies report July 21st? So they're going to be there a week before the veterans show up? Okay. All right.
So I'm debating. I'm going to get a credential to get, or just if I even need a credential to get down there to watch them. Like they haven't really said like what they're doing, and the credentials on the Panthers page are for 2019, and the 2020 links aren't open from what I can see. So I don't know what the situation is going to be. So we'll all find out here in the next couple of weeks, I would hope. Rod, you got any shout outs or anything you want to give out to anybody before we get up out of here?
Man, I just want everybody to pretty much be safe.
Oh, I think we lost Rob.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, there he is. I think we might have lost him. Okay, yeah, so we lost him. Okay. You can catch me. I'm all over the place. Like I said, the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast. They're the new one with Greensboro News and Record award-winning writer Ed Harden is now available. Or will be available by the time you see this this video. The Pit Stop, my NASCAR podcast, it's weekly. Right now, the latest episode's a throwback episode I had with Bubba Wallace. So definitely check that out. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all the good places where you can go see that. And keep up with sports and everything else and this tournament at sportscarolinamonthly.com. So from a man, Kevin Avery at the 4-Man Rush, from a man, Rod Funderburk, who's still trying to get in and out onto the cast right now, and myself, Desmond